Hey, what's going on, everyone? What's happening? It's Jonathan Mathis, the sports judge, and welcome once again to another episode of Speaking with Judgment, hosted by me. Yes, me, the sports judge. How's everyone doing? How's everyone feeling? We are a day away from the NBA draft. It's always exciting. There's no more NBA basketball, so this is something that a lot of sports fans, a lot of NBA fans in particular, look forward to. And as we get closer to learning the number one pick, which I think is very obvious to us, right? Victor Wembanyama, and bear with me because I'm still learning his name. It's the obvious pick, right? He's gonna go number one. He's gonna go number one to the Spurs. The Spurs are expected to draft him with the number one overall pick in the NBA draft. And why wouldn't you draft him? You look at him, he's a giant. He's an absolute giant. Ho, 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 green giant. You know, the vegetables you would eat as a kid. That's how tall Victor Wembanyama is. You know, he's built like a 7-footer. He looks like Anthony Davis. He's real skinny. And a lot of people are saying that he won't last in the league. There's a few people saying that, right? There's a few people saying because of his frame and because he is skinny like a toothpick that he won't last any time in the NBA. Like I said last year, I'm going to say the same thing I said last year about Chet Holmgren. What I said last year about Chet Holmgren was that you needed to give him the benefit of the doubt. And yes, I know he went down with a season-ending injury. You know, his season came to an end and he wasn't able to really showcase his talent in his rookie season. It got put on hold. I get it. But how can we really evaluate a player before he's ever played a minute in the NBA? We can't. We can only go based on film. We can only go based on what we've seen in prior seasons before that player takes a leap to the NBA. So we got to kind of reserve judgment and sit back and watch everything unfold with Victor Wembanyama. But from looking at his scouting report, dude is phenomenal. And I've seen some videos of him, and I mean, he's a rare breed. And the Spurs are looking to rebuild. He is going to be a huge part of their future because we all know the Spurs got the number one pick. And I think we all can say that Victor Wembanyama will be off the board early in tomorrow's NBA draft. He will be the first name called. He will be the first player taking a picture with the commissioner. And deservingly so, right? You look at the guy's height. What is he? 7'4"? 230 pounds. He is a lock for the number one pick. And he is set to follow the footsteps of Hall of Famers like David Robinson and Tim Duncan, who landed in San Antonio as the top selection in their respective drafts. I've seen some highlights of this kid, and I mean, he is special. He's a special player. And the question is to a lot of people, how good will he be? Is he a player that you can kickstart a dynasty with? Is he a player that can get the Spurs back to where they were years ago when they had Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, David Robinson, and all those guys? Is he a LeBron and Duncan level prospect? Yes, because when you look at his height, he's destined to be great. But does that guarantee greatness? No, not at all. Because we've seen players get drafted at his size, and we've seen players as athletic as him that have turned out to be complete busts. But it would be an overstatement to say that he's a bust. You can't call a player a bust until he actually steps onto the hardwood floor. The argument here is that Wembanyama is the NBA's greatest prospect in decades, with the ceiling to be an all-time great. He has the intangibles. He has the athleticism. And, I mean, he's a top prospect on everyone's draft board and has a 99.5% probability of going number one. We all know he's going to go number one. We all know where he's going. It's no mystery here that he will go number one. Now, Scoot Henderson and Miller and all those guys will follow as well, and I will get into them in a little bit. But this dude is a top flight basketball player. He checks all the boxes. He's a top flight basketball player in points, rebounds, and blocks. In blocks specifically, he can score the ball. He can do it in all three phases. He's a special cat. He's a special dude. Like I said, I watched film. I've seen him. He's good. From what I've seen. Now, from what I've seen, it's a small sample size. And we'll get more on him as time goes. We'll learn more about him as time goes. Now, I'm excited about the NBA draft, but I will say this. I'm not as excited about the NBA draft as I am about the NFL draft, because you have about 4 or 5 impactful players in the NBA draft. Now, I will watch the draft, but I'm not going to attack it like I will attack the NFL draft. So I will have the TV on. I will be watching it. I will keep a close eye on it. I think you got some interesting prospects in this year's draft. You got some great players in this year's class. So, I mean, there's no question about it. But, is this a good investment? Is this a great investment? Sometimes, and it's oftentimes these taller athletes experience shorter careers due to health problems. You look at Yao Ming. I mean, Yao Ming had bad knees. Dude couldn't stay healthy. Had the size, was good for a brief period, was basically forced to retire because he couldn't stay healthy. And you would have to wonder if the Spurs would consider protecting their investment. Spend time getting him right. Does he have to gain a little bit more weight? That's what everyone says when they see a player with a body frame like his. But he could be the one that proved everybody wrong. And, you're going to have your naysayers that say, well, at that height, unfortunately, there's a risk that he goes from injury to injury. But you look at the guy's ceiling, you look at the ceiling on this guy, it's ridiculously high. I mean, we're talking about a guy with freakish athleticism. That's what we're talking about. And I know some people are comparing this to Ben Simmons. I remember the hype on Ben Simmons. Yes, I do. You know. But it's too early to say that. That would be an insult to Victor Wembanyama. And I mean, you can't ignore what this man has accomplished playing in France. Excuse me. But I'm pulling for this guy to have a great career. I just hope that he isn't a bust like Olden or, you know, a Sean Bradley or a Wiseman. Or you look at some of these guys that have the height and size advantage. You know, so I think everyone's questioned, the ones that have their doubts about him and the ones that have their questions about him. I think what it is that there hasn't been a guy his size to stay injury free. Once he gets injured, it will turn into a record of constant injuries. So the size and the bone structure, you know, due to the injury, will never heal properly. And I think that's people's biggest fear about this guy. But the Spurs are obviously going to take a gamble on him. They feel that he's the right guy. You look at everything that he's accomplished in his career thus far. Now he's about to translate over to the NBA. Incredible athlete. Incredible athlete. Great stats. Great numbers to show for it. And obviously, he's going to be a joy to watch. It's going to be an absolute joy to watch. You know, and we always talk about how these athletes continue to get better each year. It seems like it seems as if these players are better than the generation before them. And the game has evolved. You have seen an evolution in basketball, particularly at the center position, in the big man position. Look at Jokic. Look at the transcendent player that he is and the incredible speed that he has. I mean, you look at him, he plays like a point center. He plays like a damn point guard. And that's not even his position. His position is a big man, but he checks all the boxes. He can do everything. He can run the floor. He can get out in transition. He can score the basketball. He can establish the post. He has that athletic shooting touch. He has the ability to score from anywhere on the floor. He can pick his spots. He can knock down shots. He can bully you inside the paint. He can get any shot he wants inside the paint. So I don't care about the negativity. Yes, you're going to hear people with their negative comments about Wembanyama. But his shooting numbers, and although they're not quite as stellar as his box score stats, it's still astonishing. He makes a lot of three-pointers, especially for a man of his size. He does so by taking a lot of them. And that's today's NBA. That's the modern NBA. Everyone wants to take the three-point shot. You got Joel Embiid attempting three-point shots. So it's not really that surprising. It's not surprising at all. But let's sit back. Let's reserve judgment. Let's see how good of a player this guy can really be. He is a reliable rebounder. And he has an absurd block rate. He is a highlight reel. And when you look at it, his highlight reel consists of Euro step dunks, one leg three-pointers. It's incredible. It says a lot about this young man and what he can do and what he can be and who he can be and who I think he's capable of being. But do you like the LeBron James comparison? Are you okay with people comparing him to LeBron James? I think the reason he gets the LeBron James comparison, what's going on, Gene? What's popping? I think the reason he gets the LeBron James comparison is because he's arguably the biggest prospect, NBA prospect, since LeBron James. And he's gonna be a prize possession for the Spurs. He's going to be a prized possession for the Spurs. No question about it. Thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate it, man. I come with the graphics. I stay with the graphics. I like graphic tees. I'm always wearing graphic tees. You're going to see me in a different one every single day. So, it's something I like to do. I enjoy wearing them. They're fun to wear. I have a good time with my graphic tees. But, man, I think that Victor Wembanyama, before I move on here, I think he will make an impact on the Spurs team. And the Spurs, they've been looking for another superstar to come along since Tim Duncan and since Manu Ginobili and since Tony Parker. The Spurs, they went into a dark era. They went into an era where they just couldn't win basketball games. And they had fallen into a pit of mediocrity. And now the future is bright with Wembanyama. And, what I like about him too, it's his attitude. It's his demeanor. It's the way he conducts himself as well. And I just can't wait to watch him play. I'm curious if he does well in the NBA. I want to see him in Summer League coming up. I want to see what he does in Summer League. Everybody knows the Spurs are good at developing players they draft. So there's no surprise on them holding on the rights to draft Wemby. So I think this is it is a move that the Spurs know they can make because they know that they can develop this kid and they know the potential that this kid has to be great. And then he'll be, playing for one of the best coaches in the NBA, if not the best coach, Greg Popovich. So this is not a bad move. And we all know the Spurs and their front office, how they do business. They draft pretty well. They draft consistently well. And they have done a good job with the international players that they have drafted over the years. And I think Wembanyama, if I'm pronouncing his name right, I think he is going to be special. I mean, I'm sure they will have him on some type of lower body workout regimen due to past top prospects going down. But I would love to see him play at the next level and blossom. I think Timmy can even mentor this guy. I think he has the right personnel around him to get better, to grow, to prosper, to blossom, to succeed at the NBA level. I think he'll be just fine. So to all the people with their negative talk and negative comments about him, just weigh it out. Just let's see what happens before we start passing judgment on him. The guy hasn't played a second in the NBA, and there's some people already calling him a bust. Yeah, and that will come over time. But still, P. Scott, you gotta give the man the benefit of the doubt. You can't call him a bust either. If you can't call him a pro, you definitely can't call him a bust. Kid is also like 19. He hasn't grown into his body yet. And yes, he's still developing. And I think he's on the right team where he can really develop and be somebody great. And I think he will be somebody great. I think he will. I think you just got to give him time to grow. You got to give him time to get acclimated. And he is quite what's the word I'm looking for? He is the prodigy, if I'm saying that correctly. If you guys know what I mean. We've all seen his moves. He could break, but I mean, he can get out in the fast break. But I think, like I was reading someone's comment earlier today, and someone said he could break his legs just running up and down the court. But I think him being a scoring threat is going to invite a ton of fouls. And I read another comment earlier today that this is Greg Oden 2.0. See, I think we're jumping the gun here. I think we're jumping to conclusion too soon. I think we're not sitting back. We want to predict. It's okay to have our predictions and our thoughts. It's okay for us to share our sentiments. But to compare him to Greg Oden, just because he's the number one pick, just because he's 7'4", come on. The Spurs got the best front office. The Spurs can turn this guy into something. The Spurs can turn this guy into something. And at the end of the day, attitude is what matters. I'm supporting the Spurs organization. There's no negative vibes from me. There's no negative vibes from me. I don't think it's fair to compare him to Zion. I don't think it's fair to compare him to Simmons. I don't think it's fair to compare him to Greg Oden. I think that's just ridiculous. I think that's silly. That's beyond absurd to me. You know, and yes, maybe he does need to put a little more muscle on. Maybe he does. Maybe he does need to put on muscle like Giannis or somebody of that caliber. But you won't know until you try it out. I mean, that's just like me. That's just like me watching a movie. Because let me tell you something. I'm a movie guy, right? Well, sometimes I'm a movie guy. I'm more of a sports guy. Let's keep it real. I'm more of a sports guy. But if I'm going to watch a movie, I don't want anyone telling me about it until I see it. I don't care what the reviews look like. I don't care what someone told me about that movie. Oh, well, Jonathan, you shouldn't go watch that movie. The movie was terrible. The movie was horrible. I got to see it for myself first. We all got to see Victor Wembanyama play a game first before we say anything. You got to see the movie first before you can give your review. How are you going to know if something's good if you don't try it first? I mean, everything in life is a risk, right? You won't know how the chicken sandwich tastes until you try it. Once you try it, once you bite into it, you get that savory taste. You might want to go back and get another one. But you won't know until you bite into it. Sometimes you got to take a gamble. Sometimes it might spoil your dinner. If you go get it for dinner, it might spoil your dinner. You might regret it later on. Damn, why did I get this chicken sandwich? It just spoiled my dinner. I wasted my money. It didn't taste good. It was nasty. I shouldn't have bought this. I shouldn't have bought the sandwich. Well, that's the same thing in the NBA. When you draft these players, you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know who's a bust. You don't know who's going to be the next big superstar in the NBA. So this is a gamble. This is a risk. And this is the risk you take. And any player can go down with an injury. Any player can suffer an injury. It could be Scoot Henderson. And I'm not trying to wish negative juju on these players. I'm not trying to wish injury on these players. I'm just using Scoot Henderson as an example. You know, and maybe it might take some time before Wembanyama can battle the big guys out there. Maybe he might have to add some weight to be more competitive. So he won't be a pushover. Since that's everyone's concern, it seems like everyone is so caught up with this idea about his body frame. You know, everyone's talking about his body frame. They're overlooking his height. They're overlooking his athleticism. They're overlooking his numbers. What's up, Peter? As a Laker fan, I so want to see him bust. I don't like the Spurs. I get it, man. I get it. I get it. But, you know, from a media standpoint and from a sports writing standpoint, you hope the best for him. I mean, the kid, like I said, the kid has a bright future. He has shown flashes, maybe not at the NBA level just yet, but he has shown flashes of a guy who's athletic and who has the ability to be really, really good at the next level. Spurs need to go get legit talent to go with Wemby. I do agree with that. They're going to have to pair him up with somebody. You're hearing talks about Austin Reeves. I don't know how true it is, but I heard that the Spurs are considering on offering Austin Reeves the max contract to pair him with Wemby. Dylan here says Wemby's career will be short. His knees ain't holding up. He's not built for longevity. See, I don't want to say that. Like I said earlier in the show, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. Ball never ends. He's already a 99 on 2K. 2K be doing some shady stuff, man. 2K be doing some shady stuff. I remember when they showed a video of 2K with, who was it? I'm going blank on his name. Derrick Rose. They made fun of Derrick Rose and they had him go down with an ankle injury. I was like, man, that's cold. That's cold-blooded right there. And I just busted up laughing. Like, wow, yeah, 2K be doing some stuff, man. 2K, they savage. They savage. That's all I'm gonna say. Well, what's up? What's up, Dante? Coach Dante is with us tonight. What's going on, man? What's going on? Thanks for watching, everyone. Really appreciate it. 34 said he is watching from the Philippines. Thank you for watching. Really, really appreciate it. And he also says, so true, you can't judge the book by its cover. Let him play. Then we'll see if he fits in the NBA. And let me tell you something. Time will tell. Time will definitely tell. That is for real. Dante said his height and his wingspan, which is 8 foot, is going to help him be a great defender. Yes, I believe that. I believe, he could be that Anthony Davis on the other end of the floor, a guy that can get down, hustle back on the other end, and swat shots. Because he has that wingspan, and he could be an intimidating factor defensively inside the paint. So I do agree with you there. Ball Never Ends says the Spurs ended the Lakers run in 2003. Yes, I remember that. I was in high school when the Lakers dynastic run came to an end, and I was heartbroken. I was in tears that night. I was very disappointed because, as you guys know, I am a Laker fan. And Dylan has breaking news here. Breaking news. The 3-team talks on Porzingis, Bogdan deal with Celtics, Wizards, and Clippers have fallen apart. Sources tell ESPN sides are moving on. Why would you want Porzingis anyway? Porzingis is another guy who can't stay healthy. I don't even know why you would make that move. You're better off staying with Bogdan because, look, he brings that veteran presence to the locker room, and it's bad enough that the Celtics lack a true leader. They need a true leader. They don't need another injury-prone player. So, they should be glad this trade didn't go through. They should be. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise that this trade didn't happen. It's Thomas. Hey, what's up, Clarence? The sports judge, he said, what's up? What's up? Tom, the Spurs dude. Oh, it's Tom. What's up, Tom? Man, I got to have you on the show soon. I mean, I know we did a show years back. It's been some time since we've done the show, but I got to get you back on. What's up? What's up, Sports Talk? What's up, SG Sports Talk? How is your day going? My day is going well, man. I'm glad that you were able to join the show tonight. Thanks for watching. Really, really appreciate it. I'm just here talking about tomorrow's NBA draft. We are less than 24 hours away from the draft. But I spent enough time talking about Wembanyama. Let's move on to the second pick. Number two is the Hornets. The Hornets have the second pick in tomorrow's NBA draft. Most likely they will go with Brandon Miller. They were very impressed with him in his second workout with the team. Brandon Miller is coming from Alabama. Alabama had a good year in college basketball. Brandon Miller was a huge part. He's a forward. He is 6'9", weighs 200 pounds. And Miller and Scoot Henderson both worked out in front of former Hornets owner Michael Jordan and the new ownership group in Charlotte on Monday. And reports suggest Miller is the front runner to go number 2. Now, there is a chance that Henderson can still be that guy, but I think we kind of know that the Hornets are leaning towards Miller. Now, although I'm still confident Henderson is the second best player in this draft class. I personally believe that. Selecting Miller makes sense because look, for the Hornets, he's more of a natural fit alongside franchise point guard LaMelo Ball and fills a need for scoring on the wing, because he's a sharpshooter. So he works perfectly there, which Henderson will most likely go third to the Spurs. As we know, the Spurs are most likely embarking on a new era because I think at some point Dame Lillard will get moved from Portland, and you will start to build a future around a guy like Scoot Henderson and Anthony Simons and players over there now in Portland. It's going to be a different group over there in Portland. And I like Brandon Miller. I think Brandon Miller is an NBA ready player. I think he's ready to take his game to the next level. I think he'll be a nice fit. He was part of an Alabama team that earned the number 1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament, and freshman forward Brandon Miller, as we know, he played a huge role in its success. And it took him no time to establish himself as the best NBA prospect in college basketball. When you look at most preseason mock drafts, they had the star freshman projected to go in the mid to late first round, but it only took a few weeks for talent evaluators to realize the sharp shooting 6'9" wing has all the tools to succeed at the next level. And he really does have all the tools. I think he's a polished player. Miller was unstoppable for Alabama. And, looking at his statistics, looking at his numbers, he averaged 19.6 points, 8.3 rebounds, 2.1 assists, and 0.9 steals, and 0.9 blocks on 0.451, a slash line of 4.51, 0.401, 0.856 shooting splits in this season. And his efforts also earned him SEC Player of the Year. So I mean, he has the individual accolades. He has the numbers. I mean, there's a little controversy that he was caught up in, and we all know about that. He was caught up in some controversy in his time in Alabama. He was not charged or suspended due to a murder case involving one of his teammates. But I don't think a team will hold that against him. I mean, you look at his talent, you look at his strengths, you look at how good of a player he is. I think he'll be fine. He has a 6'11" wingspan. It gives him the prototypical height and length of an NBA wing. He's a marksman from 3-point range, and that's what everyone wants nowadays. They want a guy that has the ability to knock down 3-point shots, and that's what he can do so well. He can knock down 3-point shots, and you need players on your team that can knock down 3-point shots, that can hit shots from beyond the perimeter. What's up, Maurice? How are you doing? Drafting for fit can cost you. Take the best player, Scoot Henderson. I do agree with that. I think Scoot Henderson is the second best player in this draft. But hey, you know what, Maurice? It's the Hornets. And I mean, the Hornets have been like this for years, right? They haven't always had the best draft picks. They haven't always made the most wise decisions on draft night, so I mean, it's common to see this, from the Hornets, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do take Brandon Miller second. They really seem impressed with him. They're leaning towards him, and I think they are inclined to make that selection on draft night. And I think by the time the name gets called, it will be Brandon Miller. Peter says Michael Jordan is still part owner of the Hornets. He went from majority owner to minority owner. Less responsibility for him. But this Hornets team, man, the thing is with the Hornets too, they draft players, but then they never keep them. They never keep them. Those players stay for 2 or 3 years and they're not on the roster anymore. They can never build a contending team. And that's been the Hornets for years. They've been an inferior team for a long time. They got the number 2 pick. They're gonna draft most likely Brandon Miller, and I guarantee you, in the next 3 years, Brandon Miller won't be on the Hornets. I guarantee you, he won't be a part of the Hornets organization. I mean, it would be too good to be true if he stays with the Hornets, because that's what the Hornets do. What's up, Shadal? Yes, it is. It's a GTA Los Angeles Rams inspired shirt. You got it right, my friend. How are you? Hope all is well. Dylan, I lost all respect for Brandon Miller after he recently said Paul George was the NBA GOAT, was the GOAT of the NBA. I did not hear that. Wow. He really had the nerve to say that? He must have been smoking something that night or the day he said it. I didn't hear that. I missed that. Wow. I didn't know he went that far. That's a stretch. That's a stretch. Thanks, Sadal. I really appreciate that. 34 asks me, what's your opinion in Draymond Green's decision opting out and going to free agency? Is he going to the Lake Show with the King, LeBron? Now, look, Draymond Green, and I talked a little bit about this yesterday on my show. It was yesterday or the night before. It was yesterday. I think it was the night before. It was either yesterday or the night before. I can't remember. But I said this about Draymond Green. And I know he has hinted at the possibility of teaming up with LeBron James in LA. He seems enamored with the idea of playing alongside LeBron James. And there were talks about him becoming a Laker to play with LeBron James, because obviously Draymond Green has a lot of respect for LeBron James, and I think it's vice versa. And, he has thought about the idea of playing with LeBron James. But I think by the time it's all said and done, he's going to remain with the Golden State Warriors. I think it's an ideal fit for him. I think he fits in that system. He spent his entire career there. I think he's going to get a team-friendly deal, and I think he will stay in Golden State. He's smart to opt out. The reason he opted out is to see if he has a bigger market, to see if he can get big money somewhere else. I don't think anyone's going to give him a max contract. I don't think anyone's going to give him the top dollar. I don't think anyone's going to spend that much money on Draymond Green. No one's going to invest long-term in him or give him a massive contract. So I think in the end, once he tests his free agent waters, which he has earned that right, I think he's going to come to his senses. I think he's going to negotiate with the Warriors, and I think the Warriors will get a deal done for him. The new general manager, Mike Dunleavy Jr., says that he would like to have him back. He was pretty adamant about it. Said that he would love to have Draymond Green stay in Golden State in the Bay Area. So I think by the time it's all said and done, to answer your question, 34, I think he will be a Warrior next season. I think he'll be a Warrior next season. Dylan says the Wizards are still working on ways to get. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't waste my time and energy. Again, another injury-prone player can't stay healthy. No, I'm not making that move. I can't make that move. What's up, Tony? What's up, Tony? Whoop whoop. Sports Court is now in session. Absolutely, my friend. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining. I really appreciate it. 34. What's your shoe size, sir? Your shoes at the back are fire. I am a size 12, 34. I have a big foot, and I hate it. I absolutely hate it. And the reason I hate having a big foot is because I have to spend more for my shoes. The bigger the foot is, the more you got to spend. That's the unfortunate part about being a sneakerhead. I'm a sneakerhead. I've been a sneakerhead all my life since I was a little boy, and I pay the price because I have a big foot. Wow. Dylan says he wears a size 14. That's a big foot, my friend. Wow. That's huge. Dylan B. Oh, this is for Dylan. What's up, Don? I would rather see the Celtics go after Cat, to be honest. Yeah, I would rather see that too. I think that's more logical. I really do. I think that's more logical. Yes, sir. I wear 12, 13s depending on the brand. And yes, it's awful to buy shoes. Absolutely. See, Tony's in the same boat that I am. He understands the hassle. And another thing about wearing a size 12. Size 12 is obviously the most popular size. Sometimes it's hard to find a size 12 shoe. It's not always easy. So that's another disadvantage to wearing a size 12. But back to the draft. So Brandon Miller will most likely go second. Also, what's cool about Miller, what's impressive is his long range, is his shooting ability from long range. On high volume 3-point attempts per game. Miller can play on and off the ball, which is another advantage that he has. He's good. He'll bring the ball up the floor and create his own shot off the bounce. So I think the Hornets are intrigued by what he can bring and his strengths and how dangerous of a 3-point shooter he is. He is scratching the surface of his potential as a 3-level scorer. So I think they are intrigued by that as well. He has moments where he explodes to the basket and dunks with authority, showing his freakish athleticism. He runs the lanes hard in transition. He can serve as a dual threat because he can dive to the rim for a lob and or float to the wing or the corner for the three. So he's a very versatile player, And on defense, he's competitive and disruptive. That's another thing. He can use his length to smother opposing ball handlers. So I think he's a two-way player. I think he has all the makings of a number one option and a future star in the NBA. And I think that's why they like Brandon Miller so much. Now, Brandon Miller does have some weaknesses too. And he isn't very innovative with the ball. He's more methodical when it comes to trying to create his own shot. He's, he has a few weaknesses, but that's every player. But I think in Miller's development as a prolific scorer and as an offensive weapon, he can be a good pick for the Hornets or even for Portland. And he can definitely take his game to the next level because, again, he has no problem creating looks for himself. And I think he can be even more terrifying when he improves his handles a bit more. I think that's another weakness he has, but that will get there too. He has to have a little bit more shake to his game. I think that would come in time too. But other than that, I like Miller to go second or third in this draft. And then, of course, you got Scoot, the man Scoot. Now, I got Scoot going third. I really think I know what we said. I really think he should go second. But I got Scoot going third to Portland. And Portland, there's gonna be a lot of changes made in Portland. Like I said, I see Dame getting traded. I don't see Dame staying in Portland too much longer. And I like Scoot. I think Scoot is, to be honest with you guys, I think Scoot Henderson is much more than a constellation prize. When you look at him, he's coming from the G League Unite. He has a lot of great intangibles, and I think this is expected with Scoot Henderson and Victor Wembanyama. I think this is expected to be one of the best in recent years, one of the best NBA draft classes in recent years. And it all starts at the top with Victor Wembanyama, and then you look at Scoot Henderson and how lethal he can be. We all know that the French big man who fits the unicorn label will be the guy they talk about more than any player in this class, because we all know Wembanyama can create his own shot off the dribble, rise up with a stunning jumper for a player his size, and use surprising quickness to attack the rim. We all know this, but we also know that Scoot Henderson is also in a class of his own too, because Scoot Henderson can flat out ball. Now, I got a chance to see some video on Scoot Henderson too. Let me tell you something. That brother has the potential to be a bad, bad, bad man. I will tell you that. He has the potential to be something great. He really does. I like him. And if you're unfamiliar with him, he was a 5-star recruit who ranked as the number 7 prospect in the high school class of 2022. And he's smart as a whip too. He finished his high school credits early and signed a 7-figure deal to play for the Ignite at the age of 17. That made him the youngest professional basketball player in the United States in United States history. This dude is 6'2", weighs 195 pounds. He's a guard. He already has a full season of pro basketball under his belt. But of course, because of his age, he was not eligible for the 2022 NBA draft. Well, now he's ready. And he's the first Ignite prospect who wasn't immediately draft eligible. Henderson has become the poster child for the development program as he is set to enter his second season playing in the G League, but now he's going to the NBA. So this dude, man, He's a baller. He's a baller. Henderson will have the opportunity to showcase his talent with the Portland Trailblazers. I think he will go third. I think he will go to the Portland Trailblazers. Solid size, strength, and length. He has a 6'9" wingspan. And Henderson looks like a combo guard at the NBA level. He already looks like a combo guard at the NBA level. And I mean, the first thing you notice is his explosiveness as a guard. I mean, it takes him no time to accelerate before rising up and attacking the basket with aggressiveness. You can also make the argument that Henderson is the best all-around guard in this year's draft. He has the speed, he has a strong frame, he can absorb contact, he can shy away defenders and finish at the rim. And that's one of his most impressive that's one of the most impressive aspects of his game. So I got him going third to the Portland Trailblazers, since Brandon Miller is most likely to go second. It's going to be a good draft. I will be locked in. I will be tuned in. I will be watching tomorrow's draft. I wanted to come on and talk a little bit about Wembanyama, Brandon Miller, and Scoot Henderson. I wanted to really focus on those three. I didn't really come up with a mock draft. I never really do a mock draft. I always wait until draft night, and I usually will predict after the player get drafted. I usually will give you my takes on what I feel, how I feel about this player going to a particular team, what I think it's going to look like in the future for that team, how I think that player will fit in with the team, what I think that player can bring to the team. I will talk about his strengths and weaknesses. That's usually what I do. So I never really do a mock draft, but I wanted to do a short NBA show tonight. I wanted to do a presentation on the NBA draft, and I want to thank everybody for joining me tonight. Thank you guys for watching. I really, really appreciate it. You guys know where you could find me, right here on the Sports Judge page. Don't forget to hit the like and follow button. Make sure you guys follow this page. Make sure you guys like this page. And also, this show is also live streaming from my YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check out the content there. I post content on the regular. I'm regularly doing sports videos, giving you guys my sports takes. And I want to thank you guys, because without you guys, none of this is possible. And I know there are a variety of choices out there to choose from. Everybody and their mama now have a podcast. So, I mean, you can listen to other podcasts. You don't have to, spend your time listening to what I got to say. But I really, really appreciate it. I truly, truly thank you guys so much. But it's been a pleasure. It's been a lot of fun. And man, I'll be back with another show. Maybe tomorrow I'll come back with another show. And when I do come back, I most likely will have a co-host with me. I will have somebody on with me tomorrow night. And it'll be a lot of fun, and we'll have a great time, as we usually do on this show. It's a lot of fun, everyone. You guys take care. This has been another episode of Speaking with Judgment, an NBA draft special for you guys. I'll talk to you guys when I talk to you guys again. You guys take care. You guys have a wonderful night and enjoy the rest of your Wednesday.